What's crack-a-lacking, y'all? Welcome one, welcome all. This is the 23rd episode of In the AM with MC. It's your boy Mike Codrington here, and we have tons to talk about today. Let's start with the NBA draft, which just happened. My last episode, 22, is available. I'm recording this on the 27th. Let me put the thing right there. The 27th on in the nighttime, evening time. And in my 22nd episode, I did reference how the draft was coming up. Draft happened. So there's some picks that I would love to talk about, some teams and some situations I'd love to talk about. First and foremost, the NBA is teeming with talent. Teeming, it is full of talent. And obviously there was, the whole hiccup of the lottery. People didn't like how the lottery went, um, or whatever. But I say all this to say that some of the top teams are able to pick some top players who would actually take them from, decent teams to exceptional teams, as opposed to players who, regardless, being drafted in the lottery is like you're going to a team that blows. But Cooper Flag is going into a great situation with the Dallas Mavericks. He doesn't have to be the guy. Everyone is really saying this right now, right? I seen Carmelo Anthony talk about it. I seen LeBron talked about it on his pod with Steve Nash, but he talked about it in a very LeBron way, in a very facetious kind of way. Um, but Flag can just be Flag. I think that we can definitely pump the brakes on impact and all of that, because it's just so early. Like Jason Kidd is like, I want him to play point guard. Let's relax. I don't know if he should play point guard, but I think that summer league is going to be a great opportunity for him. Very first game, he plays against the Lakers and Bronny James, so the cameras are going to be there. But it's a really good situation for Cooper Flag. So I think he's gonna go the distance as a pro. We just don't know what that's gonna look like as far as productivity right now. We just don't know. Dylan Harper, he gets drafted into a great situation as well, going to play for the San Antonio Spurs. I think the Spurs might not be done. I'm not sure if this is the roster that the Spurs take into the season, just because I think that there's still the capability of trading for a guy that works in that situation, right? When you look at the projected lineups, you have Fox, you have Wemby, you got Vassell, Sohan, like all these guys who can put the ball in the cup, who can get back to playing the kind of Spurs basketball that Greg Popovich has made so trademark over the last 20 years. But I don't think that they're done. I don't think that they're done. I think that right now they do lack outside shooting, right? They have no outside shooting threats. Wemby might have led the team and made threes last year before he went down. They don't really have any outside shooting threats, just a lot of run and dunk guys, which is why it's really hard for me to believe that they're just gonna try to trade for Giannis. But there's a star out there. I don't want to say his name, but I think that San Antonio can make a push for him. I think that it would work for their team. But all in all, Harper's gonna fit in well with them. VJ Edgecombe to me is Jimmy Butler reincarnate. Jimmy Butler is not dead, but he's so similar to Jimmy to me. Like play style, very juvenile in his shot. It's like a very like Bambi-esque, like his outside shot. Falls when it falls, doesn't when it doesn't. Very strong, very, kind of got that like jail body type dude. He puts pressure on the rim, 2 feet in the paint. Athletic finishes, big dunks, and he doesn't back down. But also, like very similar to Jimmy Butler, right? He has some of that struggle in his story, which informs the way he plays basketball and informs the way he goes about the world. So, shout out to VJ Edgecombe. Super happy to see him get drafted in, and his story is awesome. The pick that didn't make sense though for the 76ers was Johnny Broome in the second round. Early second round, there's tons of talent still on the board. Like Ryan Kalkbrenner went right before him. There's Kobe Bray went 41. There was a lot of talent in the second round. Um, Johnny Broome is 6'8", 230. And he's back to basket, almost not a back to basket player. He's not like what was that? Was DJ Burns? He's not like a DJ Burns. He's not like super back to basket. But I'm just saying, like he's a center. He's not a power forward to me. Because in today's day and age, he doesn't have the ability to run with the fours. The fours that would be his size, who can play the four, is like an Obi Toppin, who can play it anywhere from 3 to 5. But Obi Toppin is about 6'10", about same weight, but he runs the length of the floor. He's long. He's developed his outside shot. Johnny Broome to me just doesn't move the needle, and that's too high of a pick for you to use on a guy like that. Yeah, the day won the chip. Well, all right, like, yeah, I don't know. The Johnny Broome pick doesn't make sense. You got Embiid. You just re-signed um Andre Drummond. So I just don't know where the minutes come in for Broom. And realistically, the pick just it doesn't make sense to me when I think about in the past 5 to 7 years in college basketball, the amount of talented centers who have come out. Almost all of them I can think about are more talented than Johnny Broom. I think Luka Garza is 10 times more talented than Johnny Broom is. But 35 overall to the Sixers. Trust the process, baby. Trust the process. Uh, the Pelicans drafted well. There was a trade made to get Derek Queen, and Jeremiah Fears was drafted with the seventh pick, I believe. That Zero Fears jersey looks super good. That is a fan base that's gonna support, and they got talent, man. They're young, they got talent. They remind me of Oklahoma City. They just don't really have that guy to put them over the hump. And it's yet to be seen if they can have one of two guys on their team become that guy, or if they're gonna have to package some of these dudes and pursue that person. But you look at the defensive ability that the Pelicans possess, as far as potential, right? I think that Zion is so athletic. He's got to play. He's got to play the distance. He's not very good at half court defense. Great at transition defense, obviously. But I think that if you have a real dependable big behind him doing a lot of the actual rim protection, you can kind of have him in a floating capacity on defense where he can just do what he does best, which is clean up, play above the rim. Um, and do something productive for your team. But on the perimeter, you have Herb Jones, you have Trey Murphy, like you have DeJounte Murray. Like it could get really, really, really scary for the Pelicans. I love Jordan Hawkins' game, his ability to put the ball in the cup. Yeah, you got DQ. Like there's a lot that could work well here, but I could also very well see the Pelicans doing what the Pelicans always do and being two injuries away from a 24 win season, which sucks. Like the fan base deserves so much better than that, but that's probably what they're looking at. I just hope, I really hope and pray that they can overcome and kind of have something else. Um Last situation. Oh yeah, two more. So Kobe Bray to Phoenix. I mentioned that briefly just because I was just talking about how Broom didn't make sense if a guy like Bray's on the board. To me, he's like Cam Johnson. He's like a Cam Johnson type. We saw how we kind of have seen both of the like levels of what Cam Johnson can be. Like we've seen him in like a very timid, not super sharp defensively, not making his shots way, and we've seen him above the rim, averaging over 20 points a game for long stretches of time kind of way. And he's very mature. He's very intelligent. I think that Kobe Bray learning from Devin Booker is going to be great. A guy who didn't start in college and let his shooting get him on the floor. Bray shot 47% from three in college. So him and Book, they're gonna bond. They're gonna have some good workouts. They're gonna be, shooting buddies. I can see that for sure. Last situation I like to talk about is the Charlotte Hornets. The Hornets are cooking something. Just like I said, the Pelicans are cooking something. And if y'all want me to be delusional and incorrect, just let me know because I believe in y'all, bro. Like I believe in the Pelicans. I believe in Melo. I believe in Charles Lee. I believe in Brandon Miller. There's a lot there. And now getting a guy like Knuppel, however you say his name, it's more shooting, right? It's more shooting. I just fear what the defense looks like from Charlotte, trading away Mark Williams during the draft, a guy who is a great defender, who's capable of putting up 20 games with 5 blocks. Not every night, of course, right? But Mark Williams, for what it's worth, uh, when he was playing, was very good. So how do you replace that defensively? You did get Kalkbrenner, so that's a guy for LaMelo to play off of in the screen and roll game, pick and pop game, right? He can shoot the three from time to time. I see him as like a baby Brook Lopez early on in Brook Lopez's career. The dude, I think I might have talked about this before. The dude literally played like 10 years and shot 15 threes. And then one day he woke up and was like, I'm going to extend my career. He didn't have to bounce. He wasn't getting to the cup. He still has the touch because shooting threes takes a level of touch. He was really more of a face-up back to basket guy, but he was doing work for the New Jersey Nets. Decide he's like, I want to extend my career, and now he's hucking them threes. But I think what's not discussed enough about Brook Lopez is his ability to play in the screen and roll game defensively, especially when they won that chip. I mean, you saw it was very much highlighted. Brooke is that dude. Song of the day, song of the day, song of the day. Song of the day, we have Palace slash Curse by the Internet featuring Tyler, the Creator, and Steve Lacy. Now, the Internet is a subsidiary of Odd Future, a group that was formed in 2009, I want to say. The Internet was formed in 2011, right? By Sid the Kid and her, contemporaries. I don't know the names of everyone who's in the founding ordinance, but I do know that Steve Lacy was not one of the founding members. It's like a common misconception of the internet, especially because they're really popular. It's like a if you know you know thing, but also like not really. Like I mean, they have really popular songs. Sid has a lot of really popular solo work herself, but they're also just not giant commercially. Like I can't think of a good comparison. But yeah, like I saw that to say 2015 song. Um, I have this album on vinyl. I'm looking at my vinyl collection above me. Ego Death, great album. Like phenomenal. The features are so good, and I think this might be the last song on the album. I love songs that are written as like two. It's like this slash this, and it feels like two distinctly different songs. Sometimes you see a song like that, and it says, blood slash water or something, and it just doesn't you don't feel that switch. You don't feel why the creator thought that slash was necessary. But with this song, they're so distinctly different, like Palace and Curse, the two songs. It actually reminds me of my dog Jack. He's got these two songs, Saturn, or this one song, Saturn slash Immortal, and those feel like two distinctly different songs, and they're so good sonically. But you feel them, and I think that the internet just they did so good on this album, but this song is an internet song. Like if someone said, "Hey, like play an internet song," this is an internet song. Because yeah, that they just have a little bit of everything for everybody. And Tyler unironically makes some of his best work with Sid, the Kid. That's not a surprise, you know. That's really not a surprise. She's incredibly talented, and it's funny because Earl talked about with Odd Future, right? Like people were tapping into them at a time where dudes was making stuff and uploading it. So realistically, you're tapping into these people's first drafts. You're tapping into what these people are in their house doing, throwing stuff at the wall, and they're like, "Ha, this would be cool, right?" Then they put it out, thinking, in a week or so, people be like, "Oh, giving you opinions," but realistically, they're giving you opinions within the minute, within the day, and so with Sid, like you can actually hear in her tiny desk that they did her voice crack a bunch, because she was still really new to singing. Like she was a musician first and foremost, but singing in the capacity that was required to be in the internet and to even do her own solo stuff, it was new to her at the time. And now she's one of my favorite artists, probably like top 5 artists. So that's enough yap about the song of the day. But Palace Curse is a song. Shout out all of them cats that got groovy and made that thing happen. Okay, so last time on here, I talked about some WNBA teams that suck right now. Unfortunately, the Aces were one of those teams. I'm an Aces guy. The Aces look really abysmal right now. The Chicago Sky look pretty rough right now. Um, I did give shout out to the Valkyrie, right? But I'm gonna talk about this slate real quick, right? And the outcome of the first two games of the slate is a perfect reason why I'm talking about the slate. There are 5 WNBA games tonight, and this is why the commissioner receives the flack that she receives. 5 WNBA games on Friday night. My first question to you at home, right? We're talking about marketability, we're talking about growing the league. Who else is playing tonight? What sports? Is the NFL playing tonight? Yes or no? Is the NBA playing tonight? Yes or no? So your two biggest competitors for views, if you're another sport, are those two guys. If they're playing, if them two leagues are playing, and you're on at the same time, you better hope that you got something extravagant because you're going to compete with them for viewers. Those two leagues are not playing. There's MLB games on tonight. MLB has a very specific fan base, and they've been around for so long that they don't have to go out and try to acquire audience. Whoever's going to check in with the MLB will check in, and whoever's not will not. Also, you got to think about sports betting, right? That's people are checking in to see if their props have hit and so on and so on and so on. People do bet on WNBA games. They do have props. So this is not to say they need to, oh, we need to go add props. They have that already. But openings, the first two games of the slate. It's two 6:30 games, three 9 o'clock games. We have the Minnesota Lynx and the Dream. These are two of the top teams in the league. These are two top three teams in the WNBA. So think of if it's the NBA, right? You know I hate comparison, but it's a top three matchup. Okay, how are we going to advertise a top three matchup? The second game, you have the Indiana Fever and the Dallas Wings. This was advertised as the Paige Beckers versus Caitlin Clark Bowl. The first time that they would play each other, Caitlin Clark didn't play in the game. Who do the Fever still have? Kelsey Mitchell, who's playing phenomenal basketball for them right now. Uh, they also have Aaliyah Boston, who is playing first team all WNBA basketball right now. And then on the wing side, yeah, everyone wants to watch Paige. So just from a fan perspective, how do I watch those two games simultaneously? You can't. And they both were great finishes. The Lynx game went to overtime. The Fever game was an 8-point swing for the Fever. Now, the second slate, Chicago Sky and Golden State Valkyrie, Liberty and Mercury, and the Connecticut Sun and the Seattle Storm. Those are the three games you have that are happening right now as I'm recording this. How do you get between all three of those games? There's a different draw for every game. The Valkyrie, not the Fever, the Valkyrie lead the WNBA in home team game attendance. Their average game attendance is like 22,000 people. So, and then the Sky have massive draws with Reese and Cardoso, who I believe is not playing for them right now. I think she has to go play for Brazil. The Liberty, defending champions. The Mercury playing stupid good right now with Copper and AT. And then the Sun and the Storm. The Storm, who I mentioned on the last episode, I think could make a run this year. And then the Sun, who have a lot of young talent on their team, very chaotic, but they're fun to watch. Those are three distinctly different games that I can't watch at the same time. All five of these games are being carried by Ion. What the heck? Ion is not the Ion cannot get the draw, right? Like it's not sexy. It's not sexy to be like, all right, like let's go throw on the game on Ion. People want to be like, all right, I want to go throw on the game on any of these other networks. When you think about reaching the most people, okay, because the average person with the way that television is trending and stuff, they're not turning on like cable TV and flipping to an Ion per se. A lot of people have League Pass or they have NFL Sunday Ticket. What I believe the WNBA needs to should consider is teaming up with one of or both of Tubi and Hulu to screen their games. Make a partnership deal, you know. Let the players get some guap off that, honestly. But make a partnership deal because Tubi has done a great job of servicing their fans. And Hulu is something that almost everybody has. And they've also done a decent job of servicing their fans. But I just think that those are like you want to go into that lane as far as this promo and as far as having multiple games on at the same time. Just out of just out of curiosity, I just clicked on Saturday on my phone just to see what's going on Saturday. Tomorrow, Saturday, we have the Mystics and the Wings. So we got 5 games on today, 2 of which are on at the same time, 3 of which are on at the same time after. And all 5 of those matchups are decently promising, to be honest. And then tomorrow you have a matchup between the Wings, who are going to be tired coming off a back-to-back and already have a pretty rough record. And then the Mystics, who are a couple games above 500, and it is a good matchup, but that's the only game. Only game. And it's at 7 o'clock on a Saturday, where people are much less likely to watch because there's a lot more happening on Saturday night. Like UFC is Saturday night. I don't know if they have a UFC event specifically tomorrow, but I'm saying like Saturday nights are reserved for certain things like UFC. It's like how Sunday is reserved for football. So people wouldn't schedule stuff on Sundays or try not to schedule stuff on Sundays. But yeah, scheduling for the WNBA, it blows. They need to do something about this to maximize the league better, but also to consider the players better. Consider the players because think about all that they're doing for y'all. Now let's end the episode. This is 23. If you're listening at home, drop a little something in the comments. Say what up to the kid. But we would like to end this episode talking about 5 NFL sophomores who are poised to make a splash. Out of these 5 guys, these are five dudes who received limited playing time in their rookie campaigns. might have been like forgotten about names. 300 guys go into the NFL every year, two, two, three, 400 come out. It's really hard sometimes to track all the names and maybe understand what is going on with who. But let's go through these guys. Adisa Isaac, number one outside linebacker for the Ravens. Odafe Owe really came into his own for them last year. You have Nnamdi Matabuke getting buckets on the inside of a line for them. Uh, I still remember 3 or 4 years ago when Pat Ricard was having to log a lot of time for the Ravens defensive line because it just wasn't that good. That's not the case anymore. The Ravens D line is a strength of theirs. Um, and their corners, not their corners, their secondary can be a strength of theirs, mostly because you have Marlon Humphrey when he's Marlon Humphrey, but you really have Kyle Hamilton. Um, but yeah, I think Adisa makes his name a little bit in the league for the Ravens this year. Third round pick for them last year, late third, he went like 90 something. But he comes from that long lineage of great pass rushers from Penn State. And I know he's up for the challenge. He's been injured a lot in the last 2 years. But when you really think about the burst and the bend and the raw athleticism, there's really few guys. Like he reminds me of Chop Robinson. If you've seen Chop Robinson play football for the Dolphins, they really remind me of each other in almost a mirror way, which is ironic because they played opposite each other at Penn State. But I think Adisa's got a real shot this year coming up for the Ravens to make a splash for what may be a potential championship defense. Malachi Corley, receiver for the Jets, 5'11", 207, 209-pound guy. I think he might want to lose just a little bit of that weight, like literally like 4 or 5 pounds, just to see if he can go a little bit faster. Because he low-key got like an Odell build. Odell was like 5'11", like 190. And it he got in and out of breaks. I've never seen like an Odell Beckham blocking highlight. You can't count that stuff he was in against Josh Norman as a blocking highlight because them boys was out there fighting. But Corley just has so many tools at his disposal that he can tap into with the Jets. Devontae Adams is gone, right? So it's Garrett Wilson. Like who's gonna make Garrett Wilson's life easier? Who's gonna make Justin Fields' life easier? You guys should have a top five run game in the NFL next year. So how do you capitalize on that as a receiver? I think Corley does it. Had that big play where he thought he scored a touchdown. Did the whole Deshaun Jackson throw the ball behind you. That's in his rear view. Hopefully, that's in his rear view. Bub Means, receiver for New Orleans. I like the receiver room they have in New Orleans. But unfortunately, there's just some guys who always just kind of seem to be here, just teetering. And it doesn't help when you switch teams a bunch, and it doesn't help when you don't have preference of how you would like to play within the scheme of the offense. So Donovan Peoples-Jones is a guy they have in their room, but to me, he's always kind of been right. You have Chris Olave, who's the guy, always gets hurt though, tons of head injuries, neck injuries. Rashid Shaheed, that deep downfield threat. I think Bub Means a guy who could play inside and outside, got a good frame from Pitt. I think he's going to get busy. I think Bub Means is going to get busy this year, and I think Spencer Rattler is going to help him do it. Number 4 on the list. Spencer Rattler. Some people just have that dog in them. A lot of them people are assholes though. Excuse my language, YouTube. A lot of them people are assholes though, but they have that dog in them regardless. That's just a fact. So I think that Spencer Rattler is one of them dudes that has that dog in him. And I think that he wants to win the job. And I think he will win the job. There's just not a lot of comp right now. Tyler Shuh does not look ready. I think New Orleans would much rather throw out Spencer Rattler or Jake Haener and just roll the dice than throw out Shuh too early and then have everybody fry them because they should have drafted Shedeur Sanders. Last but not least, Xavier Thomas. It's too early to call anybody a has been. Way too early. But when someone was the number one prospect at a time in their life, anything that they do that deviates from that will make them appear as some kind of has been. Xavier Thomas was the number one prospect to come out of high school. And he hasn't materialized as a one guy, but he's really seen a lot of football when you think about his career. He was over there at Clemson. I think his first year was like Trevor Lawrence's last year. He's been there for a grip. Playing for the Cardinals, they have a ridiculous defensive line this year. Dalvin Tomlinson, Walker Nolan, like they have dudes. And so I think Calais Campbell re-signed with them boys. So it'll be interesting to see how he fits in. But at the end of the day, he gets to the quarterback. So I think that they're gonna find ways to get him on the field to get to the quarterback. He's just not very good at either of the other skills, right? Like playing the run or playing the short pass zones for him to force his way on the field. It'll be interesting to see if that changes, but I think he's really, really good at getting to the passer. So I'm pretty sure Gannon is going to find a way to get him on the field. That's the end of it. 23rd episode in the AM with MC.